All right. So I was just saying that we have a lot of people on tonight. We have everybody from beginners that don't have rabbits yet to maybe some experts. So we're going to start with the basics first and then delve into a little bit more complicated stuff. All right. So welcome to Rabbit Showmanship. My name is Emery Bork, and I'm the 4-H educator in Vernon County. So if we're looking at the state here, we are over here by Minnesota and under La Crosse. So I don't know if you guys ever know that you can do Wisconsin with your hand. Anyways, I know that all of you are joining us from lots of different places in Wisconsin. So welcome. I have been doing things with rabbits since I was, 5 or 6 years old. So about 25 years. So if you do the math, you'll know how old I am. But I have been showing rabbits for a number of years. Right now I'm focusing on 2 breeds. I have Harlequins, specifically magpies. And if that sounds like a foreign language, that's okay. There's lots of different breeds and colors and weird things that go along with rabbits. And then I also raise tricolor mini Rex, which is a really rare color in mini Rex, but mini Rex are actually really popular. So those are the 2 breeds that I'm focusing on now, but I've had a lot of different breeds over the years. And so I just kind of want to have a show of hands. I'm going to turn my face so I can look at the screen. I want you to hold up your hand if this is your first year or first time doing the rabbit project or showing rabbits. I'm going to turn away here and kind of look. And I'm just going to do a gallery view. Ooh, lots of hands up. Okay, awesome. Perfect. All right, so hands down. How many of you are have done it a few years, kind of know what you're doing, maybe like intermediate level? How many of you are there? You want to raise your hands so I can see? Okay.
And I just unmute.
Very good.
You gotta tap it.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. All right, and then how many of you are experts? Like you could teach this class tonight. You know what you're doing. You've got it all down. You've been doing this for a long time. Maybe not sure if you're going to learn something new tonight. How many of you are those people? You know, raise your hand for me. Okay, got one, too. Awesome. All right. Okay, good. So those of you who are experts, feel free to chime in and help me. There's so many things to know that sometimes you forget all of this stuff. So, you know, if you have an opportunity to kind of help me out, that would be great. Okay, so I'm going to switch this back onto our little buddy here. All right, so this is my mini Rex buck. My tricolor mini Rex buck. His name is Pink Nightmare. He got this name off of the movie The Christmas Story, when Ralphie comes downstairs in his pink bunny suit and his dad says, "You look like a pink nightmare." So that's his name. And so he's going to be kind of my model tonight as we go along here. And so those of you who are new to showing rabbits, this is a carrier. Okay, it has, and I'm going to kind of, well, let's pull him out so he doesn't feel like he's being abused here. If you don't have one of these, your life will be so much easier if you get one. So you can see it's a solid bottom and a wire top with a clip on the side. Okay, and you open it up and it's got some shavings inside. If you go to a show that's indoors, in the rules for most shows, it says you have to have a solid bottom cage when you go and exhibit your rabbits, especially when you get into some higher level shows that are in like a school gym or somewhere else like that, where they can't have the rabbits, you know, going potty on the floor. So these are a really good investment to make. And this is just a single carrier. You can actually get them where there's multiple compartments, so you can take 4 or 5 rabbits in one carrier. So I just have this single carrier right tonight so that Pinky here can just hang out with us. But if I had more rabbits to show you, I would have multiple sections here. Okay. All right. So that's just a word of advice. Okay. So when you are thinking about getting your rabbit ready to be shown, some of the things that you need to consider and get ready ahead of time is coming up with a name for your rabbit, okay? Or some way to identify them. So I have about 70 rabbits right now, and some of them look identical. So I couldn't tell them apart unless I had a way to do that. And the way that rabbit people tell their animals apart and identify them is with an ear tattoo. Okay. Now, don't get too nervous. When you show in 4-H, you can use like a permanent marker to mark your rabbit's ears. But keep in mind that a tattoo is permanent, so you don't have to stress every time you want to get your rabbit entered into a show. It's just done, it's there. Some families will use just the rabbit's name. Other rabbitries or families use a combination of names and numbers. However, you cannot use symbols or pictures. That is an automatic disqualification. Okay. The tattoo always goes in the rabbit's left ear. Okay. This ear. If you put a tattoo in the rabbit's right ear, that is also an automatic disqualification. So if you have a notebook handy and you're taking some notes, that is a really good popular question, okay, that a judge might ask you in the questioning time. So when you're doing showmanship, there's a presentation portion, but they're also going to ask you some questions. And that's a really, really popular one. Which ear does the tattoo go in? Okay. So the reason why the tattoo goes in the left ear is because if the rabbit is a champion, the champion, grand champion number goes in the right ear. Okay. Pink Nightmare is not a champion. He will never have a tattoo in his ear. He actually doesn't have good enough fur, but that's okay. So if we look here, you will see his tattoo. All right. And it's just right nice in there. So it says F.E. Pink. All right. F.E. is the name of my rabbitry, and Pink is just a short for Pink Nightmare. Okay. Some of my rabbits will have a number based on when the year they were born and who their parents were. So really deciding what goes in their ear is up to you. But keep in mind, those of you who have breeds with small ears, keep it short, okay? Sure, I'd love to write Pink Nightmare, but there's just not enough room here, okay? When you do the tattoo, make sure that the judge can read it, because if they can't read it, that's also an automatic disqualification. Okay, so that's something that you need to get done before the show, because on the registration forms, they'll ask you for a tattoo number. Also on the show form, they're going to ask you for a breed. So we know that he is a mini Rex, and then they're going to ask you for a color or a variety, okay? Color or variety. So varieties for different breeds can be different things. So how do you know? All right. The best way to know this information is to buy this lovely thing called the Standard of Perfection. This is the Rabbit Bible, okay? In here, it will tell you all of the colors and varieties that are accepted for your rabbit, okay? So in the chat box, if you have rabbits, I want you to put the breed and variety of one of your rabbits, just so that other people can see examples. So my rabbit's color is a tricolor, but the variety is broken. Whoa, right? That's why it's really important to have this, Okay, so in the chat box, go ahead and put some varieties and colors for me. All right, we have a broken foolish and a broken fawn, English Angora, a broken black satin, sweet. Honey Bible, yes.
Chocolate.
Chocolate, Holland Lot brown. Okay, very good. Okay.
Malachi wants to know what broken means.
Broken, awesome. Do any of the youth on here that are a little more experienced want to tell us what broken means? Go ahead and unmute.
I can.
Okay, go for it.
Broken is when behind their ears there's a miscolor behind their ear. It's like my rabbit, he's a broken. He's supposed to be blue, but behind his ear he is brown.
Okay, that's close. That's a good guess, but we're not quite there. Anybody else want to add to that?
Isn't it when like a rabbit, it's like two different colors, like Ed Havana, who was broken and he was both black and white.
Yes, very good. Okay, broken. So this little guy is actually considered broken. This orange is the solid part, but it's broken up by white. Does anybody have some brokens with them tonight that they can hold up in front of the screen and show everybody? Yeah, Cameron has a lovely example of a broken bunny. Abby's got a broken. Danica does. Perfect. Yes. These are examples of brokens. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I see it. Danica's got another tricolor. Perfect. Rylan does. Yes. So let's go the opposite. Can you, those of you who have solids, can you hold up your solid bunnies? Who's got solids? Julia's got a solid. Yes, Julia has the solid version of my bunny, I believe. Is that a harlequin, Julia, or is it a tort? Now she's got to find the unmute button.
Okay, he is a harlequin.
Okay, yes. So Julia has the solid version of my bunny, who's decided to take a little trip here. Okay, Anna has the solid. She's got all whites, right? Okay, Kylie has a solid. Perfect. Sarah's got a solid. Excellent. Okay, so we have solid and broken. Yep, Bunny's running away. He doesn't want to be the star today. Okay, excellent. So a lot of you wrote brown. Brown is not a color in rabbits. Okay, so brown is really interesting because you have to look at the nose and the ears, okay, and the sides. So your rabbit may look brown, but it could be a chocolate or a tort or a sable, okay? And there are a lot of different colors for brown. Chestnut, for example, or red or orange. So again, if you think, like if you don't know any further than brown, grab a standard, grab the Bunny Bible and look it up, okay? Because we actually don't use the color brown, and I don't think any of the breeds, okay? It's really weird. One color in one breed will be called something, and in another breed, that very same color will be called a different name. As you get more advanced into showmanship, you'll need to know that information because the judge will quiz you on that. And it's super fun. Rabbit genetics and color genetics is really fascinating. Okay. Thank you for showing me your bunnies.
I have a
Awesome.
question.
Absolutely.
I have a bunny which is a Netherland Dwarf.
Mhm.
Back on the top, but on the bottom of his belly is like just like white completely.
Ah. Does anybody want to help him out with what that color is? Starts with an O.
It's an otter.
Otter. Does anybody have an otter on tonight? Anybody?
I think I have an otter.
Yeah, Cameron's got a broken black otter.
Yeah, mine's a broken otter. She's being a little twist.
I have a question.
Yeah. Okay, so let me finish explaining what otters are. Otters have this little bit of a cream color in their ears and on their bellies, okay? Otters can come in blue, black, lilac, and chocolate. If you have a chocolate or a blue otter, those are pretty rare and kind of fun. Okay, so somebody else had a question. Go ahead.
Me, right here.
Go ahead.
My bunny has like fluffy ears, and he's black, white, and I don't you know that you said that brown isn't a color, but I looked pretty hard and it kind of looks like a brown.
That might be an opal, because I had a broken opal mini lop, and she kind of had brown behind her ears. So if it looks like a brown color, but it's really an opal, all you have to do is blow on their fur to see if it's opal, and then you get like a bullseye effect. When you blow on their fur, you kind of looks like a bullseye.
Awesome.
Mine has like brown, black, and white on the back of it. And then
So brown, black, and white sounds to me like it's a broken black otter.
and then the
go ahead.
white is on its stomach, and then there's brown on his ears.
Yeah. So that sounds like an otter. Yeah.
And then he has like a kind of like a white lightning bolt on his forehead and a white.
Yeah. So take a look, type in broken black otter on Google and see if that matches. So do some work ahead of time, figure out the color of your rabbit, because that's one of the things that the judge is going to ask you. They're going to say, well, what color, or like, tell me about your rabbit. So when you go to present your rabbit to the judge for showmanship, you're going to want to start off with your name. So, hi, my name is Emery, and today I'm showing my tricolor mini Rex buck, and he is a broken. Okay, so I got the color and the variety. So make sure to do your homework. If you're not sure and you just can't figure it out, talk to your rabbit leader. If you don't have a rabbit leader in your county, there's some really good Facebook groups where you can take pictures of your bunny and post it, and people help you to figure out what color it is. Okay, so let's keep moving on for time. If you have questions, keep typing them in the chat box. All right. So the next thing that you need to investigate. So let's just pretend like we're being detectives, right? So we've got the color. We know we got to look for color. We know we have to look for variety. The next thing that you need to know is what we call type. Type. Okay, TYPE, type. So let's go back to Mr. Pink Nightmare here. So Pink Nightmare is a compact type. All right, so mini Rex are compact. What that means is when we show them, we don't just put the bunny on the table, okay? We actually have to pose the bunny, make them look beautiful. So in order to pose a compact bunny, and I can't really show you this very well with the camera being the way it is, but we're actually going to gently put our fingers on either side of his head, gently push, not hard, not mean, but just gently. Then we're going to take his rear and push it up. Okay. Compacts are shown in a tight little ball, or compact style. Okay. So there's several different types of body types. So we have compact, we have commercial, we have full arch, semi-arch, mandolin, and can anybody guess the last one? Go ahead and unmute. You know the last one.
Is it runner?
Nope. Starts with a C, and it's only one breed.
Cylinder?
Yeah, who said that? Rock on, you get star
Cameron.
points. Yay, Cameron, awesome. Cylindricals, when they spread them all out like this, and they kind of look at how long they are, like a tube, okay? Now, with my Mr. Mini Rex, it took me about 3 years to be able to pose these guys. You're not going to be able to get, if this is new to you, you're not going to be able to really figure out the skill without a lot of practice, a patient bunny, and time. Okay. Now, for some of those of you who have Netherland Dwarfs, Holland Lops, These are posed upright, and they are the hardest to train to pose. Okay. With these guys, they're not head down, they're head up. And so what we want to do is lift their head. Let's see if I can show it to you a little bit better this way. We're going to lift their head up. Okay. He does not like that. That's the hard thing about those breeds. All right. Your animal will place lower if it won't pose for the judge or if it won't pose for you. So in order to get your animals to stand up and pose, you have to use your hands like a cradle. Okay. I think you can see it better this way. Use your hand like a cradle. Stick that underneath their chin and pull up and then set them on their feet. Okay. So those are a little bit harder to pose than the commercial and the compact. Okay. So compact for me, really simple. Okay. I did have to work with him a lot on this. You do have to train your rabbits to pose. If he didn't like doing this, he would bite at my fingers and scratch, or he would kind of pull up and flip away. So you have to spend the time working with your bunny. But again, these guys under the chin, pull him up so he loses that weight on his front feet, and have him stand up on his feet. Almost like a dog sitting down on it, just with its hind legs. That's how you want those guys to pose. I would say that when I'm judging, I take off the most points because youth haven't worked with their bunny to teach it to pose like that, or they don't know how to pose. All right. So make sure you memorize those 5 types if showmanship is really going to be your thing. Okay. So those are the types of things that you need to make sure that you have ready before you go to your show. You know your bunny, you know its color, you know its variety, and you've taught it to pose according to its breed. Well, Emery, how do I know how it poses? Like what breed does what? Can anybody say it? Bunny Bible. Okay, this is where you go to find this out. I even wonder if I can find, yeah, here we go. Here's a great example of how you should be posing those animals that need to stand up a little bit more. Okay. Awesome. Like I said, that'll really, really help you out. Once you have those things done and you apply to go to a show and you're ready to get into the showmanship ring, okay, showmanship is letting the judge know that you know your project. It's a time to show off, okay? So what that means is you go through this type of presentation / dance almost. There's a variety of different things that you need to be able to show the judge that you can do with your bunny, okay? So when you do your showmanship, you're going to introduce yourself to the judge. And yeah, I know you're going to be nervous, and that's okay. The judge doesn't really mind that you're nervous because that means that you really care about what you're doing. So don't be afraid to be nervous. And if you have a judge like me, I'll be like, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? Oh, your bunny's so cute. Like, we'll try to help you feel really comfortable. But during bunny shows, it can be a little chaotic and a little loud. So when you are talking to the judge, try to look at the judge unless it's sometimes when you're having to look at the rabbit. That way the judge can see your mouth and hear you more clearly. But if you kind of talk like this, well, this is my bunny, it's hard to hear and you're very closed off. Let's talk about clothes. When you do rabbit showmanship, if you get into the more advanced rabbit showmanship, you should be wearing a white lab coat. At the fair, when it's really, really hot out, as a judge, I don't expect that, but I do expect you to dress in like a respectful manner. So having a nice button down plaid shirt, maybe a t-shirt style cut off or long sleeve. To be honest with you, long sleeve is better because it'll protect your arms from scratches. Okay. And no matter how good your bunny is, every once in a while, they just stop touching me and they'll freak out and they'll scratch you. That's just their way of telling you that they need a break. So wearing longer sleeves nice button-up plaid shirt, a nice pair of white jeans or regular jeans, no rips or anything like that. And tennis shoes are fine. Just show me that you are excited for this and that you want to be there. So that's for dress. You can braid your hair nice and have it off to the side so it doesn't get in your way. I've seen a lot of kids struggle because especially young gals, their hair gets in their face and then they're trying to deal with the rabbit and they've got hair in their face. So when you're going to talk with a judge, you will put them on the table. All right. So we're going to be putting our rabbit on the table. Now, don't ever scruff your rabbit. This is called scruffing. What this does is it damages the shoulder and the skin around the rabbit's shoulders. There are times when you have to scruff a rabbit, but when you do that, make sure that you pick them up with their butt, okay? When you're carrying your rabbit, you should have his nose in your arm and well supported, okay? Oh, see, now he wants to be a stinker. Okay, so let's try this again. Just like this. His nose is secure in my elbow. He's well supported on the bottom with my hand up top so he can't jump out. So if you have your bunny with you or your stuffed animal, I want you to practice this, okay? Now, some people are all over the place. They got the rabbit up here and they're holding it like this, okay? That's not the right way to hold your animal. His nose should be in the crook of your arm because rabbits like holes, right? They want to go somewhere where they can hide. And this also gives you the most control. So your rabbit can't jump out or scratch you. Okay, so go ahead and give that a try. All right.
Could you please demonstrate that one more time?
Absolutely. Under the butt, a little bit of pressure on the shoulder, pick up, and in your arm, just like this. Okay, now he's happy, he's comfortable, he's not going to go anywhere. Okay, this is how you hold your rabbit for rabbit showmanship. Okay. All right, so when you put him down on the table, all right, you're going to set him gently on the table, and then you're immediately going to pose your animal. You're going to introduce yourself, your 4-H club, or whichever club you're showing under, and then we're going to start showing off, so to speak, quotation marks here. Okay. So we're going to start with name, color, variety, type. So tricolor, mini Rex, buck. Buck is a boy. What's girls? Type it in the chat box. Oh, thank you. Very good. Okay. So this is either my buck or doe. Okay. He is a compact breed. All right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get into the nuts and the bolts of identifying the parts of your rabbit. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start first with the head. This is the hardest part and the part that you're going to want to practice the most. And I know I'm downloading a lot of information on you tonight, but we'll have a chance to go back and re-practice and ask questions too. All right, so you need to learn how to flip your rabbit. So how this works is you take your middle finger, well, not your middle finger, your pointer finger, you're going to put that between the rabbit's ears. So if you have your bunny or your stuffed animal, we're going to practice grabbing the rabbit firmly on the shoulders and then using these fingers to curl around his ears. Okay, grab around the shoulders and curl around the ears. Now, don't feel like you're hurting them. If you don't grab them hard enough, they will flip themselves out of your hand and flip over. So you're going to want to put quite a little bit of pressure on him so that when you pick him up, you'll be able to flip him. Now, the easiest way to do this is to take your bunny and put his head towards your tummy. Okay, so we're going to put his head towards my tummy and stick my fingers in just like this. Grab tight. Okay, you can see the muscles in my hand flexing. Grab tight. Come back here, support his butt just like this. And we're gonna grab and flip. I got his butt and I got his front. He can't move. See how I have him between the ears? Just like that. Okay, if you have a real bunny and a stuffed animal, practice with your stuffed animal first. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do this again, and I'll just show you. Fingers between the ears, grab tight like this, hand run along the back, support the rear end, and pick up the front and flip, just like that. Now, I've done that a lot with this guy. Practice makes perfect. Okay, rabbit temperament also comes to play in this a lot. Some rabbits absolutely hate it. If you are doing this for your rabbit and you're not making any progress with them flipping over for, well, let's say 3 weeks, and you're working on it three, 4 times a week, you may want to pick a different rabbit. Some rabbits just really hate this, and they just don't like to show. They'll get nippy and bite and they'll growl at you. If you have a rabbit like that, try to find somebody that's maybe a little bit more friendly. Okay, I'm gonna go back here and just take a look. So why don't you practice? I'm gonna watch you on the screen here and see how you're doing. Practice putting your bunny up to your tummy. There we go, nice bee. Julia's got her bunny all flipped over. Excellent. And he's just chilling. That's the type of bunny you want. Caitlin, excellent. Abby's got hers flipped over. Perfect. Rylan, nice. Oh, Danica, you're showing off. Look at Danica's bunny. I love it. Perfect. Nice job, Anna. Now, there's a whole bunch of you guys on here, so I can't see everybody. Where's my koala buddy? Oh, we got a cat. Josie's got a cat. I love it. Yeah, excellent, Brayden. You've got great ears to practice with. Excellent job, Lexi. Grace. Whoa, you guys are really good at this. Rock on. Dina, nice. Kylie, excellent. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions about flipping your bunny? Looks like you're really getting the hang of it. Oh, very, very good. Okay.
What if the rabbit, like, it can flip, but then when you like try and check everything, like their teeth and stuff, they like flip it back? Do you have to like
Yes.
train with that?
That is a really, really, really good question. Okay. So we've gone through the process of flipping your bunny, right? Head to your tummy, fingers through the ear, grab firm on the shoulders, and flip. Here's the thing. You have to grab your bunny hard enough up here to be able to let go. All right. If you don't have a good enough grip, they're going to figure it out and they'll sneak out on you. Okay. So the point is, when you're doing this up here, you've got to really hold them secure. Use those ears as your anchor, okay? Because you're gonna need this hand. So he can't go anywhere. I've got a good hold of him, all right? And remember, you're not hurting him. So now one of you guys, it was Danica. If you guys take a look at Danica, I don't know if you can see Danica or not, but she, let's see here. She has her bunny's just laying there because this is actually a really relaxing position for her rabbit. Okay. So eventually your rabbits will get really used to this. Okay. Josh, do you have me on big screen or am I one of these little screens in a tab?
Can you please say that again? Our laptop glitched.
Sure.
Are you talking about Julia or Danica for the?
No. Do you have it broadcasting as a giant screen or just a little view?
I had you as the main screen, but I went to go look what he said.
No, that's fine. Okay, so you can see my bunny is really chilled out. So as long as you have a nice firm grip here, he's not going to be able to rotate his body enough to get out of your grip. So you have to really make sure to put pressure on him, and his ears are his anchor. Now, for a lot of you, this is you're afraid you're going to hurt your bunny, but this is a really relaxing pose for him. He's relaxed. He's not in any pain. And this gives us an opportunity to inspect him. Okay. So again, this is going to take a lot of practice. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to examine his head. So you're doing this in front of the judge. You've introduced your bunny. You flipped your bunny. Now you're going to say the following thing. I'm going to pretend as if I'm you. All right. So today we're going to be checking the eyes for any disease, weepiness, moon eye, or signs of snuffles. Okay, what I just did is I identified 3 or 4 different diseases that rabbits can have in their eyes. Okay, remember, showmanship, showing off, right? I'm showing off how much I know. Next, we're going to move to the mouth. We're going to check for any discharge or signs of snuffles. Your rabbit's nose should be dry and clean. This is what you need to be saying to the judge. All right. Now moving on to the teeth. You're going to have to practice with your rabbit to do this as well, because you're going to take your fingers and lift up to expose the rabbit's teeth. Okay. Now, if you got a chomper, may not be the best idea for showmanship rabbit, because you need to show the judge that you can pull open the mouth, which is really just a basic pulling apart, and show the bunny's teeth. When we do that, we're going to tell the judge we're checking for malocclusion or overgrown teeth, which is a disqualification. So basically in showmanship, we're pretending to be a judge. So if you've ever watched someone judge rabbits, they're going to do this, but they're not going to tell you. So they're going to flip the bunny over, do a quick teeth check, and then move through and do all these weird things to the rabbit, and then flip them over, pose them, and then decide what place they're in. But in showmanship, you're explaining the process. Okay. Now, here's a good chance to just take a break. Okay. My little pink nightmare, he's getting a little grumpy. All right. So we're just going to give him a chance to just chill. And I see we have a couple questions here. What is moon eyes? So moon eyes are like when it gets kind of, it looks like the moon. They've got like a big white thing. It's basically blindness. And it's like reflective. You will definitely know if your rabbit has moon eyes. It's very obvious. Let's see. Yeah, if your bunny shakes when they're scared, you can, it's just, again, just training. Some bunnies just do that. It's kind of a reactionary type thing. I saw a question there earlier. What do you call a neutered rabbit? So rabbits that are neutered don't have any other, like any specific names. They're either a buck or a doe, but you just want to say that they're neutered. And keep in mind that neutered rabbits can only be shown in pet classes. They will get disqualified if the judge cannot find their sexual organs. And so those rabbits will be DQ'd. So they get shown, you can show them in showmanship, and then you can show them in the pet class. Okay. So what is the order you say the name and kind and showing? It doesn't really matter as long as you say it. Awesome. Okay, so what's the difference between showmanship and just showing your bunny at the fair? Good question. All right. So when you are showing in showmanship, you, the exhibitor, are actually the one doing all the talking and presenting. When you show your rabbit at the fair just to be pre-judged, you're basically just going to put the rabbit on the table, and the judge is going to look at your rabbit and place it with other rabbits. No talking. You just let the judge do the work. Okay. So I think Pinky has had a chance to have a little bit of a
There
break.
is one good question that came in about flop ear bunny versus perk ear bunnies. Do you hold their ears differently as you flip them, or just finding the base of the ear as you flip them?
Find in the base of the ears and flip them. There's no difference. Yep, good question. All right, so let's get him flipped back over. All right, so we've covered the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Next, we're gonna go to the paws. I'm checking for 4 claws and a dew claw. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a dew claw. I'm checking on this paw. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a dew claw. Checking the hind legs for 4 claws. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If the rabbit has a broken or discolored nail, according to their color variety, that is a disqualification. Okay, that's how you check for feet. Okay, so that's next. Then we go to the belly. Now I'm checking the belly for any abscesses on does, mastitis, or problems with the mammary glands, or any other types of growth or skin issues. This rabbit has a clean belly. Okay. Then we're going to go to identifying sex. And yes, you are going to have to do this. All right. So we're just going to push down here and just show. So he's a buck. So on him, we're just going to show the penis just a little bit. Say yes, confirming he is a buck. And that's it. For doe, you're going to say yes, confirming it is a doe. That's all you have to do. Okay. Now, some judges will actually look to make sure that the male sexual organs are here. You don't have to do that when you're doing showmanship. You just need to be like showing that he is a buck. So again, you're just showing that you know how to inspect your rabbit and look for diseases and issues. So how I just talked and how I just presented is exactly what you're going to be saying to the judge. After you've completed this full inspection, you're going to finish up with the tail. We're checking for straightness of the tail for any issues such as wry tail or broken tail. This rabbit does not have wry tail or a broken tail. Wry tail, you guys, is when the tail is off to the side, so it's twisted. And a broken tail is pretty obvious. You can feel the bones. Once you're done with that, you're going to flip your bunny over. Okay, so the flipping and the working through the underside is what you have to practice. And you're going to want to do exactly and say exactly as what I said. Now, again, we're all getting our feet wet tonight. I know it's a lot of information. I will be emailing out a checklist that judges use to check to make sure that you've said those things when you're presenting your rabbit. And I'll also give you a link to a YouTube video of a youth that's going through their showmanship presentation. So you can see another example from another person that will help you to be able to do this correctly. Okay. So last part of showmanship, you're done. You're talking about all this stuff. You're going to go ahead and repose your rabbit. And then you're going to talk about the good parts of him and the bad parts that could be improved, right? Because as rabbit breeders, we want to make sure that we're breeding the best that we possibly can. So on this rabbit, I'm going to tell the judge that he has really good body depth, or let's see, body depth. This part, okay, how thick he is, okay? And then we're going to say that he has a really strong hindquarter. He comes around with a nice curve. He has a good, strong shoulder. He does not have hollow loins, but this rabbit has a problem with very soft fur, and his face, let's see, where's that? His face is a little smutty. He's got a little bit of too much brown on his face, okay? Those are the things that he needs work on. When you're done with that, the judge is going to start asking you questions. What do you feed your rabbit? What do you do with your rabbit? What types of treats do you give your rabbit? Those are questions that judges will ask beginners. They might ask, how long does it take a rabbit to have a litter of babies? And they might even ask you, well, what is a female rabbit called? Or what are the babies called? So make sure that you know that information. Again, you can learn that stuff in the Standard of Perfection, okay? Or you can watch some YouTube videos. Those are the types of questions that beginners are going to be asked. Intermediate is probably going to be asked some of the similar questions, but then we might get into different types of breeds, where they come from, what types of body types do they have, what type of fur do they have? So like my little dude right here, he has Rex fur. So this real soft, plushy stuff. Some of you have some rabbits on here that have different types of fur. Can you guys type in the types of fur that you have in the chat box, if you know? Let's see what we can do. Flyback, yes. Rex, fake fur. Love it. Rollback, satin. That's okay. Where's my Angora? There we go. Thank you. Wool, right? Okay. So again, this is Rex fur. There's flyback, rollback, wool, satin. And so they might ask you those types of questions. So you'll want to make sure to study. Another really good resource for learning this type of information is the 4-H rabbit curriculum. They will have all that stuff in there as well. And breeding things and things like that. So this is a very basic breakdown of showmanship. When you get into the super, super advanced, if I have a really talented team of youth, I will actually make them trade rabbits. And so if somebody has a mini Rex and somebody has a Holland Lop, I'm going to have them switch. And they should know enough about the other person's breed and how to handle rabbits in general that they should be able to perform really, really well with a rabbit that they don't know. So that's something to practice for those of you who are a little bit more advanced, is really looking into your standard and getting to know some of those really, really rare breeds as well. Okay, I have talked a lot. I think Pink Nightmare is rather done. So I'm going to go ahead and put him back in his cage, and let's see what other types of questions or things that you have concerning showmanship. We haven't talked about what we do when we get to a show, but I just want to see if there's any other questions about showmanship. Josh, any good questions that have come in?
Wanting to know what a baby rabbit is called. Are they called kits? Do I remember that correctly?
A baby rabbit is called a kit.
Oh, I
Yes.
remember something from 30 years ago. So there's a question about where to find the 4-H rabbit curriculum. That's on shop4h.com. Or you can check with your county office. They sometimes have an office copy that you can go through. Just trying to, I don't see a lot of other questions. What do you guys want to know about showing rabbits? About being up with the showmanship judge? Is there only one rabbit Bible or are there other kinds?
Good question. This is the newest one. Unfortunately, my goats got a hold of it and they ripped the front off. But you can use older standards, but you have to be careful because sometimes the rules change and there are always new breeds and new colors being added every year. So not all standards are the most up to date, but most of the time they have the basic information, which is the most important for you to know anyways.
Where do you show a rabbit that's a mixed breed? Now for showmanship, it doesn't really matter so much, right?
Right. For showmanship, it doesn't matter. You're just going to tell the judge that this is Susie and she's my mixed breed rabbit. And I think maybe she is a Californian crossed with English spots, but we're not sure. I mean, if you just tell them that and maybe try to tell them what breeds you think they are, that's going to go a long ways in letting the judge know that you do know some things about specific breeds. So you definitely can show a crossbred rabbit. In the breed classes, like an actual like showing for breed, if your fair has like a mixed breed class, enter into that one. Otherwise, pet class is a really good option as well. And the pet class is unique in the fact that they're not judging it based on what the rabbit looks like or its body type. They're judging based on your relationship with your rabbit and how much you know about their bunny. So that's something to keep in mind when you enter in a rabbit into the pet class, is the judge is actually judging you on your bond with your rabbit as your pet.
Yeah, is it a
I have
pet?
a question.
What about someone's wondering their rabbit is disabled and how would they be able to show that particular rabbit? Is that something they should avoid or?
If your rabbit is disabled, you can certainly show it in the pet class and you can certainly show it in showmanship. You just need to tell, be explaining to the judge as you work through things and go through flipping it. And let's say it's missing a leg, for example, you're going to say, well, if this rabbit had a leg, I would be showing you that the foot has 4 toes, right? And things like that. So you can certainly do that.
How many rabbits can you show at a show?
Depends on it depends on your rules of the fair. A lot of fairs will only let you show 1 rabbit per category. But if you start doing some of the more competitive shows, ARBA shows, and if you sign up for Fur, Fin, and Feather coming up in April, you can show as many rabbits as you want to. And then, so for me, the types of rabbits that I raise, they are all in the same class. So I'll have like 5 or 6 rabbits entered in the same class. Whereas other people have lots of different colors, so they'll be entered in a lot of different classes. So yeah, it's unlimited. So you can enter in as many as you want. But for fairs, normally they're restricted because of spacing.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the 2016 to 2021 standard of correction Bunny Bible okay to use?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Is it okay if I be right back? Because I have to use the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
Okay.
I did put a link to an Amazon for the 21-26 standard of perfection. I can put that in again. Another question we had was on age. What is a good age to show a rabbit? If I have really young rabbits, should I wait till they're older and more calm?
Ooh, yes, I love this question. Wonderful. Okay, so the state of Wisconsin prohibits the sales of rabbits that are younger than 8 weeks old. Okay, so keeping that in mind, 8 weeks is not a lot of time for a rabbit. Depending on the breed, you can show 8 weeks and up. But we have to remember that rabbits are prey animals. They are made to be eaten, which means they don't have a lot of natural defenses, okay? It means also that their bodies are just weak because that's their purpose, to feed other animals. So the younger you start stressing out a rabbit, the more problems you're gonna have with your bunny. So 8 weeks is when most of the time we wean at 6 weeks. 8 weeks we can sell them, but you have to be really careful because rabbits will bloat or they'll develop a disease, a respiratory disease in their lungs and their nose called Snuffles. Snuffles sounds really cute, but when you have it in your rabbits, it is not cute. Okay. So give your rabbit time to mature. You don't want to accidentally take it to a show, stress it out, and then take it home and have it bloat and die a day later. So Pink Nightmare is actually, he's 6 months. He's just about at the age where I would take him to a show. His fur is matured, his body is filled in, his muscling is really good. But with mini Rex, I see a lot of kids bringing them to the shows where they're just not developed. Mini Rex take a really long time. So do Holland Lops. Holland Lops take a long time because they have really thick bones. Now, on the flip side, there are some breeds that grow really fast, like Californians or New Zealand, that are ready to rock and roll in less than 60 days. And those are your meat pens. And those are good enough to really help, be good enough to be judged and eaten. Okay. So really the time is going to depend on your breed, but the younger you go, the less successful you're going to be. The judge will always mostly pick a senior rabbit because they're all filled in, they're mature, and they're ready to go. And senior is 6 months plus, but really ideally, the best time to show a senior rabbit is between 8 months and a year. So it's a long waiting game, but it'll pay off in the end. great question. That's a really good question. With my Harlequins, I will show them when they're 10 weeks, but I know instantly the minute they're born if they're going to be competitive or not, because the Harlequins are judged on their coat pattern, not their body type. Whereas these mini Rex are based on their body type and their muscling and their fur development. Way longer game. But my Harleys I can show a lot earlier. So it really depends on the breed, but take your time. Good question. Love that.
There was
question.
another question, they kind of go together. What is a good rabbit diet, and should I only give my rabbit one treat a day?
Ooh, another good question. Okay, so there's two types of rabbit feed that are pretty popular. There's 16% protein and 18% protein. Those of you who have larger animals, larger breeds, or woolly breeds, okay, breeds of rabbits that actually produce wool that we can harvest to turn into hats and jackets and whatever, those guys are going to need a little bit more protein. I'm not a huge fan of feeding 18%, but those breeds tolerate it pretty well and need a little bit of extra boost. But my recommendation is to feed a 16% protein. And mini Rexes are like the ponies of the rabbit world. They look at food and get fat. Whereas my Harlequins, they are skinny, 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 but they need to be muscular. So keep an eye on your rabbit. If you have a really fat rabbit, it's going to be really hard for you to work with it and pose it. So if you're starting to notice like extra huge wrinkles around the chin and around the hind quarter of your rabbit, you're probably feeding it a little too much. So with the mini Rex, I recommend maybe like half a cup a day. But with the larger breeds, I give them free choice. So really, again, that's very specific on the breeds, but just keep an eye on your animals. And something that you can do often is run your hand along your rabbit's spine. If your rabbit's spine is really bony, you got a problem. And sometimes that can be connected to feed, but there are a lot of diseases that will come in and really interrupt your rabbit and their bodies and make them skinny. So you have to really kind of keep an eye on them because they have fur and they look like they're happy and fuzzy and they have a lot of fat. But if you're not touching your bunny on a regular basis, you don't know if they're healthy or not.
What are your thoughts on bunny harnesses? There's 3 or 4 questions about that.
Bunny harnesses?
Putting your bunny in a harness, is it a good thing?
Oh, okay. So at a show, you don't need to put your rabbit in a harness. You should be carrying them. Rabbits pick up diseases like crazy. So the less you have your rabbit hopping out and around on the floor, the better. The only time that you would want to put your rabbit in a harness is if you're doing rabbit hopping, which is basically like show jumping for horses, but for rabbits. So if you're like, what? Yeah, YouTube it. It's really, really cool. You can teach your rabbit to jump jumps and do agility and things like that. That's really the only time I recommend a harness, but I have heard that people have really struggled with keeping the rabbits in the harnesses. So you might have to try a couple before you find one that works. I don't keep any of my rabbits in harnesses. And in fact, my rabbits all live outside. They love the cold weather. It doesn't bother them at all. It's really the heat that kills rabbits, not the cold. So mine are outside bunnies and they're happy. So we don't take our rabbits for walks or anything like that. In fact, I prefer to keep them off the ground because there's a really, really popular disease called coccidiosis that lives right in the ground, and rabbits pick it up all the time and it just kills them. So I don't like to keep my rabbits on the ground. Other questions?
Can rabbits eat bananas?
Yes, bananas are cool. Broccoli, lettuce, don't do lettuce. Bananas, strawberries, blueberries, any part of a sunflower, whether it's the seeds or the head or the leaves or the stalk. Blackberry, raspberry, brambles are really good, and rabbits really love pine cones. So like throwing a pine cone at a rabbit is basically like giving a dog a bone. They just go nuts over them. As far as treats go, once a week is good. You don't want them relying on that treat because it's like, if your mom gives you a cupcake, before dinner, you're going to want to eat the cupcake and not eat your dinner. It's the same thing with rabbits. If you give them a banana every day, they're just going to eat the banana because they're not going to want to eat their dinner. You can also supplement with hay. Try not to get too many like alfalfa, clover, more grassy. And I give that to my rabbits maybe once every 3 days in a rotation. Good questions.
How does ribboning work in shows? Does everyone that show gets a ribbon, or is it placing?
Awesome. You know, let's use that question to jump into like, okay, it's show day. How do we do show day? Okay. So let's say you all have had such a great experience tonight and you're ready to do this and you want to try it out. And you want to come to the Fur, Fin, and Feathers show on April 30th in Sparta. You're signed up, you show up. The first thing you're going to want to do is find a spot to put your stuff. So bring in your rabbits and their carriers and set them in a spot. Bring your camp chairs, make like a little area for yourselves. Make sure to bring some snacks, some water, maybe a book to read, because rabbit shows are very hurry up and wait. Okay. So once you're all there, you'll get them there. Some of you may invest in a grooming table, which is basically like a little tiny table about the size of my towel here. Okay. About the size of my towel, and it's got a carpet on it. And when you're grooming your rabbits, you put the rabbit on the table and make them all pretty. You're going to want to have either a towel with you or a carpet, because you're going to want to clip their nails and then brush off any extra hair. Do not wash your rabbit before a show. Don't ever wash your rabbit. Just don't. It kills their fur. So if your rabbit's really gross, take some baby wipes to it. Take some, what's that stuff called? Hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, and scrub out the uckies. Rabbits are always dirty on their feet. It just is what it is. But try to clean them up. I hate it when I'm judging rabbits and they're really gross and they have really long nails and they scratch my arms. So please make sure that you have your rabbit groomed, clean, and ready to rock and roll. When you get to the show, you're going to want to go to the registration table, check in, let them know that you're there. If you have any scratches or rabbits that you're not showing or that you want to add, you take care of that there, pay your money. So that's if you're at Fur, Fin, Feather. If you're at the fair, you're just going to want to make sure that you're getting your rabbit ready to go, that the rabbit didn't break its teeth or break a toenail or, have something weird going on. And then you're going to wait until your breed gets called. So you're going to be listening while you're hanging out. Mini Rex on table 2. And so you're going to take your Mini Rex there, and they have a very specific order based on variety. Okay. So again, it's really important for you to know the variety of your rabbits. So let's say that you're showing an otter Netherland dwarf. You're going to wait until your variety gets called. The schedule is always senior bucks, senior does, junior bucks, junior does. That's what we call 4-class rabbits. Four. Okay, I make sure I say 4. Those are 4-class rabbits. There are breeds out there that are what we call a 6-class rabbit. 6-class rabbits are senior buck, senior doe, 6/8 buck, 6/8 doe, junior buck, junior doe. Don't freak out. Rabbit people are the best. They will help you. They're wonderful. What you'll do is when your color and variety are up, so I have a broken senior buck. When he's ready to go, I'm going to pick him up, put him on a table. If you're at a good rabbit show, there should be a table full of little cubby holes, little boxes that the rabbits can hang out, because we really don't want to be holding our rabbits a lot, because you're going to make them sweat and then they're going to get all icky in their fur. Just leave your bunnies alone in their carriers. They're the least stressed out when you leave them there. I've been to shows where the kids really love your bunnies and you want to hold them and you just love them and cuddle them before you put them on the table. But that actually isn't necessarily the best idea, because they're going to be burnt out and they don't want you to touch them, and they're going to get gross. So I'm going to pick him up out of his cage, put him in the little cubby, and just stand there and make sure he stays in the cubby. I'm not going to talk with the judge. I don't want to identify myself or connect myself to the rabbit. And I'm just going to stand quietly and watch the judge as they work down the table. Every judge has a different way of looking at the rabbit. Some of them will carry coins or little objects, and they might place it in front of the rabbit. That means something to the judge. It could be one that is at the lower end of the class that they can get rid of right away, or it could be at the higher end of the class and they want that one to wait. So as the judge goes through, he or she is going to look through, figure out which ones they like, which ones they don't. They'll flip them over, inspect everything, and then they'll start calling placings. So they will always go last to first. So they'll say, this rabbit is 4th place, and then they'll explain why. So it's really important to open up your ears and listen to what the judge says, because they're giving you feedback. They're giving you comments and suggestions. If your rabbit wins, the rabbit stays on the table so that it can compete against all of the other colors. Again, it sounds kind of complicated, and it is. I was scared to death when I went to my first show. But then again, rabbit people are really nice, and they'll say, oh, what do you have? Do you need help? I'd be happy. Oh, here's your rabbit you left at the table. So that's one of the things that I really love about this hobby, is that rabbit people are so kind and so great. And so that's basically what you do at a rabbit show. If you're at a professional rabbit show, most of the times we just don't get ribbons unless you're the best of breed, which means you have the best rabbit out of all of them, or the best opposite sex of breed. What that means is, let's say my little guy here won. He was the best one out of all of them. He's a boy. The judge is going to go and pick the best girl. Okay, that's the best opposite sex. Now, let's say a girl won, then they would pick a boy. Okay, so you might get a ribbon for those, but most of the time they don't place out 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th with ribbons. Now, it's a different story if you're at the fair. At the fair, most of the time everybody will get a ribbon, and they do Danish judging. So 3 different kids might get blues. And so that's just really, really big difference between fairs and more professional shows. I really encourage you, even if you're a beginner, to check out some of the professional shows in Wisconsin. It'll give you an opportunity to see some really nice, well-bred rabbits. And a lot of rabbit breeders, if you're interested in the breed that they raise, they're more than willing and happy to help mentor you and help guide you along, and to help find good animals. I will say, when we show at the fair, if it's not in the pet class and it's not in showmanship, and you're really wanting to compete in those breed classes, you might have to invest a little bit of money. If I was going to sell Pink Nightmare, I would probably charge about $250 for him. He's a really rare rabbit. He's actually pretty decent. He's just got that issue with his fur. Some rabbits are a lot more expensive than that. So most of the time, if you tell them that you're a 4-H'er and you're starting out in the project, a rabbit will cost you anywhere from $50 to $100 if you want a decent one. But again, there's lots of different reasons why people have rabbits. And if you're not looking to be super competitive or really focus on that breed and you want to do more showmanship, you can just go ahead and get something that works for you. That's totally okay. Any questions about going to shows and what it's like at the show? I will tell you, at Fur and Feather, we are going to have posters and photography and try to do some education while we're there. There's also an opportunity to go in a different room and work on some cat toys that we're going to donate as well. Because like I said, at the shows, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. You have to wait until your breed is called. And sometimes you're last, and it is what it is. So we're going to try to have a lot of really fun opportunities for you to explore some things at the teaching shows. And the teaching show is going to go a little bit slower because the judge is actually going to take some time and talk to you guys about your rabbits and what you can do to improve on them. So if you haven't signed up for the teaching show in Sparta, that's like the next part of this, right? So we've talked and talked and talked tonight. Now you can actually visualize it and get to practice.
So we have a couple of people with their hands up. Braden, do you have a question you'd like to ask? Braden Carnahan?
I have a question, yes. So I'm getting a mini lap soon, and I'm just wondering if because I'm gonna get it in the spring and it's gonna be a baby. Am I gonna be able to show it at the fair in June?
Well, if the breeder is selling it to you at 8 weeks, it'll definitely be old enough to take to the show, and for you to practice with her and get her ready for showmanship. She probably won't compete against, you know, the older senior animals, but the judge should be able to give you really good feedback on like what she's going to be like when she's older. And so that should be really helpful to you as you learn about the breed and such. So I think you'll be okay. Good
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Good luck. They're cute.
Stevenson with the koala, what's your question?
Bye.
Go ahead, ask your questions. I see lots of hands up. Did we lose Josh?
No, I'm still here. She's trying to get her off mute.
Oh,
If
okay.
someone else wants to, oh, there she is. Go ahead.
So, is there more than one way to hold a rabbit?
More than one way. Yes. When I'm introducing people to rabbits for the first time that have never really held one, that are really scared, the best way to do that is to have them hold them like this up on their chest, because then you don't have to worry about holding feet and can't get scratched. So this isn't like the official way that you would hold them for showmanship, but this is kind of like the most non-scary way, because all you're doing is holding their butt and they really won't scratch you as much. But that's really like that, and then having them tuck in like this is really the best way to hold them, because then it leaves a hand free for you. So you got them all bunched in here and he's safe and he's not going to go anywhere. But yeah, for people that are scared, this is okay. Good question.
Julia, Kaylee, and Lyndon, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Why don't we go, if you do have a question, go ahead and just unmute and ask your question, and we'll try not to talk over each other.
Why can't rabbits have lettuce?
Yeah. So lettuce is basically like empty calories. It doesn't really do anything for them. You also have to be careful, like if you give it more like kale, or like, I can't remember the official name for like the family that has broccoli in it. It actually makes them have a lot of gas and can make them bloat. So very common misconception, but yeah, leafy greens, I would say try to avoid them. I grow a lot of sunflowers and feed them sunflower leaves throughout the summer. They have a lot of nutrition in them. But lettuce is basically like giving a pack of Skittles to a rabbit. There's nothing really good in it, and it just makes their
There's
tummies hurt.
also a lot of water in lettuce, and so it can make them loose as well.
I
Yeah,
also have a second question.
sure.
Are mini satins also one of those breeds that develop fast?
Develop what?
Asked.
Develop fast.
Develop fast. Mini satins. So mini satins are fun too, because they have a really unique type of fur. And so that does take some time to develop. I don't have a lot of experience with satin furred animals. They have the same body type as a mini Rex, so they're going to need some time to really fill in. So I'm thinking probably about the same time as the mini Rex. So I would wait until they were at least, a good 5 to 6 months before I would show one. Do you know what makes their furs look satiny? Do you know why?
No.
Their fur, the hair shaft is hollow, and that's why it makes it have that really funky sheen. Mini satins and satins are pretty cool.
Is there a limit of how old you can show your rabbit up to?
Good question. The older they get, the more we notice, right? So I would say a rabbit is in its show prime from about 6 to 7 months to about 1.5 years. After they've had their first litter, many professional breeders don't show the animal again.
Wait.
Bucks is a different story. Males can be shown for much longer, but if you're starting to breed your does and they're having litters, normally we won't show after they've had a litter.
So if you were to just have a buck rabbit and they're not being bred, they're just there for show. Same
Mhm.
thing with a doe, you're not going to breed them. How is, like, would you be able to show them when they're 8 years, or is there still a limit?
Go for it. If he's in good condition, go for it. If you're starting to notice that maybe he doesn't have as good a muscling, or you can feel his bones a little bit more, or ear gets saggy, I probably wouldn't show him. But hey, if you have an 8-year-old rabbit and he's in good condition, go for it.
No, mine's only 2.
2? Then he's in his prime. He'll be good.
Someone else gonna go ahead and unmute and ask their question. There's 8 hands up, so.
Yeah, and let's see if we can try to wrap up at 8:30 here.
What other vegetables can rabbits have?
Ooh, good question. So vegetables, I would say carrots are okay in moderation. Vegetables. Tomatoes are a big one. Tomatoes contain lycopene and some other really good stuff that is really important for rabbits. So giving them a tomato, and it's super fun because when they start eating the red in the tomato, they get this little red lipstick and they look like little murder bunnies. It's kind of cute. So yes, tomatoes are really good. I will keep mine cucumber and zucchini from my garden. Yeah, strawberries and tomatoes are really fun though, because they get the little red mustache.
I have another question. How long can rabbits live up to?
Ooh, good question. Should we ask everybody how old their rabbits are? I think that would be really fun. Can you guys put in the chat box how old your bunnies are? I normally won't keep mine past 5 years, but that's because I run a very strict competitive program. And I'm always working to improve my rabbits. And if they don't fit anymore, or if they don't meet my strict rules, they go to other places. Okay. 5 months.
I hope you don't mean the butcher.
2 years, 1. Okay, good. Awesome. Perfect. 4. Very good. Very cool. So I do want to make a comment about eating rabbits. Rabbit meat has helped humankind survive for many, many, many years. Rabbit meat is 98% protein and 0% fat. So it's a very healthy meat, tastes like chicken. In fact, rabbit meat is so special that when there was a tuberculosis pandemic in the United States, rabbit meat was one of the things that they used to keep them alive because it was so easy to digest and so healthy for them. But here's an interesting fact. If you hunted wild rabbits, not domesticated rabbits, but wild rabbits, and you only ate wild rabbits, you would actually die. That meat doesn't have anything additional besides protein, and we need lots of things to survive. So it's very rare. That would probably never happen because we would supplement with other things. But rabbit meat, if you maybe want to try it, try it. If it's not your thing, that's totally okay. But rabbits in the meat industry have had a really long history, and it's rather interesting. So there's your fun fact about rabbit meat. Other questions?
Yes, I have one. My hand doesn't fit over, like my bunny's shoulders are too wide and I can't put my hands over it securely. So when I go to flip my bunny, like, is there something else I could do to help flip it so he doesn't toss and turn?
Sure. Can you lift up your bunny a little bit more so I can see him? Awesome. Yeah, you've got a big old Angora, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the only bunny you have?
We do have another we have a Holland Lop. It's an otter, but it's old. It's like 8 years old and she's kind of bony. So
yeah, I mean the bigger the rabbits, the harder it is to flip them. I would suggest either working with your 8-year-old rabbit to really get her comfortable to flip. That's okay. In fact, you should be training all of your rabbits to flip because that inspection of the rabbit is how we make sure that they're healthy. And weird things happen. And if you're not checking tummies and between the legs, there are a lot of diseases and issues that can pop up out of nowhere. In fact, there's a little fly that likes to lay eggs on bunny tummies, and yeah, that's really gross. So you should be flipping all of your animals over and looking at them no matter how old they are. So it's okay to use your 8-year-old bunny if it's more comfortable for you. But if your rabbit's too big, just keep practicing and really hold those ears as best as you can. But I know Angoras are a little tough and they have so much wool on them that it's hard to dig down to the bottom to show the judge what's going on under there. Yeah.
Thank you. And I have one more. My
Sure.
bunny has a little bump on its side. I don't know if there's anything I could do for that or like what is it?
If your bunnies develop bumps on their sides and it's in the summertime and you've had them outside, make sure you pull the fur apart and make sure that there's not a little hole there. That can indicate that there is a fly larva living in the skin of your rabbit, and it's actually really popular. It happens a lot.
We got that on our lap.
Yeah, and you have to pull the fly out, and it's the most nasty thing ever. Please don't have nightmares about it. Otherwise, it could be an abscess. And if your rabbit has an abscess, you can take a needle and very carefully just poke into the abscess and see if any fluid comes out. If fluid comes out, you'll need to cut that abscess a little bit more, drain it, and pack it with some Neosporin and give your bunny a shot of like antibiotics. You can get antibiotic shots at like Tractor Supply or your local feed store, and you can give it to them. Google antibiotics to use on rabbits. You can use a lot of cattle antibiotics, sheep antibiotics, things like that you can buy over the counter and just treat for that. If no fluid comes out of it, rabbits can get cancer. And that then turns into a situation of, is your animal in pain? Does it need to be put down? Is it spreading elsewhere?
Okay. And I have one last question. So since my bunny is an Angora, should I trim his hair a certain way for a show and fair?
Okay. So Angoras need to be in full wool in order to show. However, you asked me, do you know what kind of Angora it is?
Yeah, French.
I want to say I've seen some of the younger animals on the table that were trimmed, but I know that they do need to be in wool.
I really want to be held up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say that they have to be shown in full wool.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, does anyone else have a couple? We've got about 4 minutes left for our evening. Does anyone else want to ask a question?
Do you have to put anything on before the show?
If you're just showing rabbits, not for showmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're showing, If you're at the fair, there's a little bit of an expectation that you kind of wear the same thing. If you're at a professional show, there's no requirement. A little trick, many of us will wear an apron, like a kitchen apron, because rabbit fur will be flying around like glitter and it sticks to everything. And so a little tip is to wear an apron so that when you're done showing your bunnies, you can take it off and you're not covered in fur. So that's just a little trick. You can wear that at the fair. You can wear that while you're showing. Also, some youth will have guard sleeves. So they've got a little hole around the thumb and then a hole around the larger part of your hand. And then they come down to about here and they protect your arms from getting scratched. So you can see I just got a lovely little scratch there. And I've got some nice scars on my arms from being scratched. So you can wear those sleeves when you're showing to kind of help protect you. Because no matter how much you work with your bunny, they're eventually going to freak out and scratch you. That's just what they are. They're a prey animal and they're going to do that. So yeah, some people wear an apron and have these things. So if you're looking for a good side project, talk to your sewing project leaders, and maybe your sewing project leaders can come to your rabbit project meeting and help you to make those.
What about apple cider? Is it good for rabbit fur? Apple cider vinegar, I mean.
Yes, apple cider vinegar is very, very good for rabbits. I put 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon in my water for my rabbits on a regular basis. If you're breeding rabbits, apple cider vinegar helps fertility and getting them in the mood. And it also helps the babies not to bloat. It helps with fur quality and overall health in your animals. So yes, apple cider vinegar is really, really good stuff.
Does someone else go ahead and unmute and ask your question?
So I have a question. Does like Netherland Dwarfs or like mini Lops or something, are they harder to breed than others?
Yep. The smaller dwarf breeds are incredibly hard to breed. And most of the time they'll only have 3 babies max. So yes, I know a lot of youth have them. And if you have 1 or 2, that's fine. But if you're really trying to breed them, it's a difficult project. And some breeds are really easy with that type of stuff and other breeds are really hard. And those 2 are difficult. Good question.
I have 2 very quick questions. Can rabbits have spring mix?
That's like a lettuce mix, isn't it?
I think so. I don't know. Can they have cherry tomatoes?
Cherry tomatoes, absolutely. I would stay away from lettuce mixes though. Cherry tomatoes are a good one.
Tilly, what's your question? You have your hand up.
If you're showing the rabbit, what do you do if you're a rabbit? If you do something wrong with your rabbit?
Yeah. So we, at some point in time, we all make mistakes or we mishear something or we get confused. And that's something that I really like about rabbit people is because they're really kind and they're really helpful. So if you make a mistake, people will help you out and help you get to the right spot. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. We'll help guide you through and get you on the right path. So I wouldn't worry about it. The biggest mistake that you can do is accidentally tattooing your rabbit wrong. That's probably the worst thing that you could do because that can't be like reversed because it's permanent. But other than that, people will help you get through and support you.
Am I able to show my bunny if he's not pedigreed?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. You don't have to show proof of paperwork or anything like that in order to show. If you get into deeper showing and you want to put a grand champion in, then you have to have paperwork. But I'm not even at that level yet with mine, so it takes a long time to get there.
Okay.
The person with the 1360 telephone number, what's your question? Yep, you're unmuting and muting, so. Go ahead, you're unmuted.
Do you have any like
Oh, they remuted.
Oh no, did we lose you?
I got a
do you have
question.
any experience with Bel Airs?
With Belgian hares? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, Belgian hares are rare, but they're gaining in popularity. They are working on getting some new color varieties passed. They are a full arch running breed, which means that unlike the guy I showed you tonight, those guys show off by running back and forth on the table. So when you're getting your rabbit to show, you need to be working with it to be able to go back and forth. Okay. They also have this full arch pose. And so the judge is really looking for the gap between the front legs and the hind legs and really looking for that arch. And I take it back. I don't think they are a running breed. I don't think they let Belgian hares run. But interestingly enough with the Belgian hares, how they set them up is they actually grab very gently at the base of the ears and they use the ears to pull the rabbit up to get that really high arch. Very, very fun rabbits, big rabbits, but rare. If you're thinking about getting into them, you'll most likely always show against yourself, which, you know, is okay if you're all right with that.
Okay. That's just what I was looking at.
Yeah, they're really beautiful. They are gaining in popularity, but there are not a lot of them in Wisconsin. I was at a show a couple weeks ago and there were some there. Beautiful animals.
Okay. Do you have any place to like get them?
Good question.
Like
There
any breeders
is,
to buy?
yeah. So if you go on the American Rabbit Breeders Association website, they have a directory of breeders, and there are entire businesses that focus on driving rabbits all over the country. So if you find a breeder that you really like, and let's say they're in Texas, that's really not a problem. They'll actually help you find a transport service to get the rabbits brought up to you. I have rabbits in my rabbitry from California, Canada, Florida, all over the place because I need to go really far in order to get good ones.
Okay. Thanks
Good
for the help.
question. Yeah, that's really exciting.